Good morning and happy Tuesday. Today, our goal is to put together everything that we have learned for sine and cosine, laws of sine, cosine, and area. So, I did a little overview here of everything that you need to know that we've done for the past couple of weeks. So, I thought I would kind of refresh your memory on what the formulas are and when you use each of the laws. Okay, so the first one is the law of sines. It's not a difficult one, but the formula itself is not difficult. If you remember, this is the formula here. But there is a difficult case with the law of sines, okay? And it's this guy here. All right, so if you have ASA or AAS, those are pretty straightforward. You're just going to work them with the formula, no problem necessary, no problem at all. Okay, no extra work necessary. But when you get to SSA, remember, this should stand out to you because it is the quote-unquote bad word backwards. We're not going to write ASS on our paper, so we write it backwards. And so it should stand out to you for that reason, and that's when you ask yourself, it's called the ambiguous case because there can be multiple possibilities. So let's just write down what could happen. We could have one solution, and that's just like ASA and AAS, where you'd work the problem like we typically would. Then you can have two solutions, which means you can have two triangles possible. So instead of coming up with 3 answers, you're going to come up with 6 answers. Okay? And then the third possibility is you could have no solution, which means a triangle does not exist at all. It would be like you had a side and an angle, and this third side would be like this, where it wouldn't connect. It'd be something like that, like broken, basically. Okay, so you have these possibilities, and you have to check for this. Okay, now this one is easy because it'll come up as an error in your calculator, if you remember. But the 1 and 2 solutions, you have to decide on, is the first angle you find greater than the one given or not, and that kind of helps you distinguish. Okay, I'll go over one like that in just a moment. All right, then for the law of cosines, that's what we've done most recently, and you guys, those of you who did the quiz, I think we had, let's see, I can go back and look really quickly. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 6 100s on the quiz yesterday, and then a few people with just missing 1, which is fabulous. So I'm really proud of you with the law of cosine in the area. So law of cosine, we use SSS and SAS, and we use those same things for the area. Now, I only gave you one scenario with the angle and the side. Do you remember there are actually 2 others? So like you can find B squared and C squared, but it's using the same trend with the formula. Okay, so I don't think you need me to write all of those down. And the same thing here. We can do cosine of B and cosine of C, but the formula kind of holds true similarly, if you will. And then with area, we need it to be side, 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 or side, angle, side. Now, we're not always going to have that, so we have to turn it into side, 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 or side, angle, side. And my suggestion to y'all was to turn it into side, angle, side, because it's a much easier formula. Okay? So if you wanted to take a screenshot of this or take a picture of it, you certainly can, because that'll kind of help you as we go through the rest of the problems. Okay, so you're going to do 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 problems today. I'm going to help you with the first one just to kind of show you what I'm expecting you to do. All right, so on number 1, and all of these problems actually, except for the very last one, you need to draw the triangle, okay? Now, before you even start trying to do law of sines or law of cosines, you have to ask yourself, which shortcut is given to us? Okay, so here we have an angle, we have a side, and we have a side. And so it looks like it could be ASS, or, we're not going to write it that way, SSA, or perhaps it could be SAS. Well, your question that you need to ask yourself is this angle right here in the middle of these 2 sides? And the answer to that is no, okay? Because your angle would have to be here for it to be in the middle. Okay, so therefore, if we have ASS, we're not going to write that on our paper, but we have SSA. And then you immediately need to put like a big red flag, okay? Because that means you need to be checking your answer when you think you're done, okay? I'll actually go through number 1 in just a moment. I'm just going to keep going with number 4. All right, so with number 4, I drew the picture, and now you ask yourself, what is the shortcut here? So I have an angle, a side, and an angle, so that's A, S, A. And then that is one of your easy ones. So you don't have to think through like the different scenarios or whatever. You're just going to find, your 3 missing parts. So the measure of angle B, I can put equals. You're going to find side A, and then you're going to find side C. And so you need to ask yourself, are you doing the law of sine or are you doing the law of cosine? Well, ASA tells us law of sine. Okay, and so then I'm going to do 18 over sine, etc. Okay, I'll let you finish that. So you kind of get how we're going to do this. I should have put this law of sines. All right. So then you're going to try 7 and 9 similarly. Ask yourself if it's law of sine or law of cosine. And then number 15 is finding the area. Okay? All right, let's actually do number 1, though, to kind of refresh your memory on that ambiguous case. So we know we need to find the measure of angle A, the measure of angle C, and then side C. Okay? And so we may or may not have a second set of solutions. We'll see momentarily. All right, so if you remember, you kind of match up the ones that are across from each other. So that means here we're going to find angle A first. Okay, so we're going to do 14 over sine 34 equals 20 over sine A. And this is the angles. Angle A is going to be the angle that we compare to angle B, since angle B was given to us. All right, so we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to do 20 times sine 34. And then we're going to divide by 14 to get the sine of A isolated. I'm just going to use my handheld calculator right here, but if you need to remind yourself, I did a video with Desmos. All right, so you should, oops, I just made a mistake. Okay, so 20 times sine 34. I guess I should have used Desmos. And then take that answer and divide by 14. So you should get sine of A equals 0.7988847, etc. Okay, and then you do the inverse sine, if you remember that, of that answer. Okay, so second sine, second negative, and I get 53 degrees, approximately. Now, I'm going to pause right now, and I'm going to ask myself, is the 53 degrees greater or less than my original angle B that was given to me? Because it is greater than, that means we have a second triangle. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw the triangle again. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm taking up a lot of room. I'm going to draw the triangle again, and then I'm going to have to rework the problem again. But first I'm going to put in what was given to us originally in the problem. So the 34, the 20, and the 14. Okay? Now I'm going to come over here. I'm actually going to erase what I did originally and give myself a little bit more room. So the measure of angle A could equal, so it could equal 53 degrees, but it could also equal something else. The measure of angle C could equal something or something else. I shouldn't know. Why did I draw that so big? Oh well. Sorry, it was real sloppy. Okay, and then side C can be 2 things. Okay, so I'm going to kind of leave myself room for both. All right, so we found that A was 53. So the first thing you do here is you write 180 degrees minus the 53 degrees, okay? So 180 minus 53 gives us 127 degrees. All right, so it could be either of those two. Now I'm going to go finish the problem for both of them. So I'm going to find that third angle C just by adding the 2 angles. 127 and 34 and subtracting from 180, which should give me 29. And then I'm going to do the same thing back over here with the original. So 53 plus 34, subtract from 180 should give me 93. Okay. Does everybody kind of remember that? So this was the big kicker though. Finding the first angle and then asking yourself, is it greater or less? If it's greater, that means a second triangle exists. If it's less than the original angle, then you're done. It's only one triangle. Okay, and so now I need to find side C for both of these triangles. And so for the first triangle, I'm sorry, I'm running into the other problem, but that's okay. So I'm going to do C over sine of 93, and I'm going to put it equal to 14 over sine 34. And then for this one, I'm going to do something very similar. So I'm going to do 14 over sine 34 equals to C over sine 29. All right, and then if you remember, you just times by sine 93. And then here we're going to times by sine 29 to get the C isolated. So I'm just showing you the process is the same for both of them. It just uses a little bit different numbers. All right, so we're going to do 14 divided by sine 34. And then we're going to times by sine 93. Oh, I keep making typos. Excuse me. All right, so you should get 3.9. Okay, I'm going to double check it just real quick since I was making typos. 14 divided by sine 34, and then times by sine 93. I'm glad I checked because I just got something different. All right, I'm getting 25. So let me, and that, so you can see, you see how I was about to go check myself? 3.9 does not make sense to the other side lengths because we have 20 and 14, and the biggest angle is 93, which is across from what we're finding. So 25 is more accurate. I just made a typo, and I don't know why. I just thought to check myself, but I'm glad I did. 25 yards. All right, now we're going to do it the same way for the other one. So 14 divided by sine 34. And then times by sine 29. 12.1 yards. And does that make sense? 12.1 is the smallest side, yes. And over here, 25 makes sense because it's the large across from the largest angle, so it should be there. Okay, so that's a lot. Now, is every single problem going to require this much work? Absolutely not. The only ones that will require this much work are the SSA problems, and if they have this scenario where the angle you find is greater than the original. Okay, so I just wanted to do that one to remind you of kind of how the process goes. But I'll just go ahead and be honest, I don't think any of the other ones end up like that. So they'll be a little more straightforward. Okay, so your homework is to, well, since I've already done one completely, you don't have to type that one in. But I want you to try 4, 7, 9, and then 15 is an area one. Okay? So, draw your triangles, label what shortcut is given, and then that'll tell you which law you need to do. Okay? And then, of course, you can reference back to this if you need to throughout. All right, best of luck. Text me through Remind if you have any questions or email me. Have a good one.